Hi, I'm Olya, the founder of Tribe. I've been in digital marketing pretty much throughout my career. I'm moderating this first roundtable of Tribe Talks today. Jen?
Hi guys, I'm Jen. I founded my digital marketing company, Metric Lion, I guess about 7 or 8 months ago. I've been in digital marketing for the last 3 years and got the pleasure of starting with Olya. So yeah, it's been a great experience since.
Awesome. Parvathi?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Parvathi. I'm based out of Chicago. I've been working in marketing for about 10 years, and I've been focusing on digital marketing for the past 5 years. And I'm happy to join the panel.
Thank you. Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm in the digital marketing for about 4 years, mostly working in a paid media function. Very happy to be here today.
Thank you. And Yasmina?
Hi, I'm Yasmina. I am the social media marketing coordinator here at Tribe, and I'm really excited for our first Tribe Talk.
And last but not least, Naomi?
Hi, everyone. My name is Naomi. I'm the content coordinator here at Tribe. And how I got into digital marketing was just, I really love telling a brand story. So that's what I love to do. And yeah, I'm excited for this as well.
Okay, awesome. So let's start with our first question, which is why did we all choose a career in digital marketing? Let's start with Michael.
Oh, me first. Okay.
Because you're the only man.
Move. Well, I guess personally for me, digital marketing is very exciting area to be, especially now, because digital marketing is super evolving. Everything is changing so fast. There's a lot of new things coming to the market. Why did I start my career in digital marketing? Pretty much, I guess, basically because digital marketing is a combination of different things. So first of all, it's a combination of creative part. It's a combination of, it's mix of the tech skills. There's obviously room for business people as well, because in the end of the day, you're trying to generate profit for your business or for your product. So you're obviously looking at some business metrics. So because of this perfect combination of different things, which always been a part of my curiosity, and I always learned something about analytic or something about, people psychology or customer psychology. I choose to be in a digital marketing, and I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy that all of those things actually determine my career in digital marketing. I took a path of paid media because probably it's something that most interested to me. It's something that also changing very fast, and there's a lot of different channels coming to the market that you could develop, and you could, find a better profit. So because of the different combinations, because of the different factors that actually digital marketing consists of, I choose to be here, and I'm actually very happy that I did that decision.
Awesome, thank you. Jen, you want to go next?
Yeah, so when I had started college in 2013, originally I honestly wanted to go into psychology. I realized I was never going to get through 8 years of school in order to be able to prescribe medicine and make any decent money. And there had been a lot of these articles coming out about what social media was. Social media wasn't really that big at the time, and it wasn't as influential or as heavy in a marketing sector to build revenue as it is now. And it was just an article about promoting going into what majors would actually get you a job post college. And one of them happened to be communications. So within communications, obviously digital marketing, social media happened to be just a small cluster of it. But that kind of sparked why I decided to go into communications in general. And then when I had graduated college with a communications degree and a public relations minor, and I went to my first job out of college, first full-time job, where I had met Olya. Digital marketing, I saw, became much more of a focal point into what companies were using to build revenue, tell brand story, be present, interact with audience. So leaving college, I originally intended to get a job within traditional communications, let's say, more PR publicist based. But it was really digital marketing that was so up and coming just in the last like 7 or 5 years. And that had influenced why I had originally gone into it. It was very big, like in the job sector when I graduated college.
Gotcha. Funny enough, I've had like a kind of similar path because when I graduated, I had a degree in PR and I liked it at the time. But then I very quickly realized that if I wanted to, move to another country or work remotely or be, this mobile and global, then it would have to be something more with the digital component. Obviously, at the time when I graduated college, which was 2011, there was not much going on digitally, but there were like the beginnings of it. And then I want to say when I moved to the States from Russia, that's where I really started getting into digital and have stayed in it so far, simply because it allows for like a lot of flexibility in terms of how you get the work done, where you get it done. But also I just feel like it's such a diverse sector that is just like made the most sense.
For sure.
Parvathi?
Yeah, sure. So when I think back, so in undergrad, I knew I wanted to do business. So I got a degree in general business just because I wanted to focus on like the different aspects, whether it was like finance or accounting or international business, whatever it is. But I kind of knew that marketing is where my heart was lying. Like I really loved the courses. I did an internship while I was in college, which was in marketing. So I knew that that's where I wanted to focus on. And so I dove into it right after college. I worked at a couple different places in different types of marketings and different kind of industries. So I worked in like product marketing. I worked in like, I worked for a law firm, so legal marketing and business development. And then I worked a little bit in market research. And then I was at the point where digital marketing was kind of taking off. I'm similar to Olia. I was a little bit before the trend where it really, really took off. So I was noticing that a lot of companies were like veering towards it. And as I started to learn more about it, I knew that I wanted to focus on it. So I decided to get a master's degree. This was also the time that I knew that I wanted to move to New York. So I was like, why not like kill two birds with one stone and like move to New York, get a degree and like start fresh. So I got a master's degree kind of focusing specifically on marketing and digital marketing. And then soon after that, I worked with American Express for a couple years, and I worked on like the end-to-end campaign process, working across the different types of digital marketing, whether it's like site or paid search or social media. And I absolutely love it. And I think I'm happy that I kind of like fell into it and was like feeling my way around it. And yeah, I think it's an awesome field, and it's constantly growing, constantly evolving. So I'm really excited to see where it kind of goes in the future.
Right. I think we all are.
Yeah.
Misha, Michael, you mentioned that your focus is like paid media or paid marketing. Would you say that in your experience, it has been like the most stressful component of digital marketing or not?
I would say it's probably one of the most stressful component of all digital marketing that you could actually do right now, because what comes to like owned media or earned media, there is not a lot of different, I mean, obviously there are a lot of different KPIs you can track and goals you measure, but paid media, it's also performance marketing, and you always have to make sure you're staying profitable. You always have to make sure you're bringing some value to your client, to your customers. So it is sort of stressful because you have to basically be able always to report pretty much on every dollar you spend. So I guess that's the stressful, part of paid media.
But would you also say that it's like rewarding when you see that your campaigns are performing well and you're like, yeah, I made money?
Actually, exactly. That's actually the reason why I'm staying there, because it's also, real-time tracking. So anytime you can see a real-time performance when it comes to organic content, for example, or earned media, you not always see a result right away. But with a paid media, you're always able to see a result right away. And it is a very rewarding, because if you launch a successful campaign and if it's, you choose the right targeting audience, you choose the right product to deliver. So yeah, it's very rewarding. It's very interesting and satisfying to watch how your campaign is growing and scaling over the time.
Gotcha. Jenn, what would you say are like the most stressful and the most rewarding components of digital marketing for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say stressful is just that overall, I think within digital marketing, there's a big gap between people who like digital marketers versus, let's say, client or somebody who doesn't know digital marketing. Within other industries, I feel like business or maybe like accounting and finance, everybody tends to have kind of like this baseline
General
measure.
understanding, yeah.
But within digital marketing, it's like you, the digital marketer, versus whoever you're serving or helping or working with tends to know literally nothing. It's like a complete
Yeah,
world to
yeah,
them.
that's the problem.
And with that comes this huge issue with expectations. So it's like, oh, we're giving you 5,000 or 10,000 or something larger scale budget, like 50,000 to spend. And I feel like it always comes with this ridiculous list of expectations. Either the budget's too tight and they want this like incredible payoff, or they're not willing to kind of go through some steps of different audience targeting, different interests, different platforms. Let's say if they want to use Facebook or something retargeting like Criteo or affiliate marketing, they're never kind of willing to put in just like, let's do some research and see what kind of tests we get off of audience. Like, we have to spend that money first before we spend money to get an actual return. So I think just the lack of base knowledge between what's going on and what digital marketing can actually do and bring back into the company sets this huge list of like very unrealistic expectations. And often I feel like I have to argue so much to get a decent budget, like for what they're looking to actually do. They'll have this set of expectations, and I'm like, okay, but we kind of have to spend this type of money. We can't do this really low level budget, but they don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
definitely, like, I feel like that's easily the most stressful thing that I find I tend to deal with, like with every single client I have.
It's like
Even if
champagne
I'm
taste, but
right.
beer budget.
Yeah, even if I'm doing like in-house, you know, like working with talent or working for another company, I do feel like I have to fight like against the CEO or who's ever running the marketing department or whoever I'm working with to explain why, you know, we do need a bigger budget and what's going on and what we can get for that. Always like I
Right.
tend to run into an issue with money.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. It's stressful. And I feel like what's even more stressful is when a client thinks that they know better than you. They're
Right.
like, oh yeah, no, we should do like this, and that. And I'm like, okay, so why do you need me for? Or what do you need me for if you already know how to do it?
Absolutely. Or I feel like we always run into the struggle as digital marketers with brand story, and we know something
Right.
will work really well and will show a different side of the client or the company, but they find that it's not PC and they don't want to go there. And it's like, you know, there tends to be a limitation on actual creativity. And unfortunately, besides just the outlines of like, oh, it would be creative and different, it would be what would work best, but they don't want to, you know, like cross anything remotely like non-PC.
Right. And like I feel like a lot of businesses also forget that kind of like the price of resisting the change is always higher than applying the change.
Right. High risk, high reward.
Exactly. Parvati, what about you? What's been like the most stressful in your experience?
I would totally agree with the managing expectations piece that everyone was mentioning, just because I feel like a lot of people think it's like a flip of a switch with digital marketing. Like you just like crunch a couple things and it'll just take off, but it's definitely a curated process and it takes time and you kind of have to go back and reiterate and tweak. And so it's like a very evolved process. So I would definitely agree with that. And then for me personally, because I worked on most of my digital experiences with campaigns and like the end-to-end process. And I worked across channels and different products. So it's just making sure that, there's a lot of moving parts, and making sure that everything is like consistent, everything is like going out, and like everything is staying afloat. It takes a lot of work. I think a lot of people kind of underestimate how much goes into it. So I would say it can be stressful, but I feel like the reward is always like sweeter than that. So it's really nice when a campaign does really well. And I feel like if it doesn't do well, or if you're dealing with difficult people, I feel like there's always a takeaway. There's always something to learn and kind of pivot and like improve and move forward. So yeah.
Right. I think for me, the most rewarding part is being able to say, I told you so. It's like when the client originally was like disagreeing with you, but then they finally gave in and, you did what you wanted to do. And it worked, of course. And you're like, yes.
You should listen to me on the first date.
Exactly. It's like so much for fighting me for, I don't know, 2 weeks. Okay, since all of us basically kind of like made a conscious switch to this area of expertise, let's call it like that, are there like any things that you wish you knew when you started? Michael, since you're on the screen right now, do you have any things like that? At least on mine.
I guess I wish I knew that digital marketing is so interesting and fascinating earlier than that, honestly, because I would probably start much earlier and start learning about digital marketing. And another thing probably which I wish I knew, that everything comes with the practice. You don't have to study that much. You don't have to spend hours and hours of the time just watching numbers of different videos and techniques and practice about digital marketing. As far as you start practice, you start testing new things, you probably develop your own way and your own approach in digital marketing, and so sort of feel how everything works and in practice. I think probably you don't have to overspend your time on something that you're not sure. So better go try, and then you will see if you like it or not. So I wish I knew that practice is more important than actually learning new things about digital marketing.
Right. I couldn't but agree with that. I like basically the same thing. I wish I knew how easy it was to, not how easy, but like how accessible it was to learn about all of this. And
Exactly.
I would have definitely started early as well.
Yeah.
Jen, what about you?
I think overall, just a better baseline of digital marketing. Of course, you learn things as you go. And I feel like I've learned from you specifically, like you never truly know digital marketing until you start touching those campaigns. Like you really don't know until you start actually seeing kind of like the analytics come in and how it responds differently towards audience and things like that. But I feel that digital marketing, the way something like accounting does, or business or finance, doesn't have that like, I guess you could say it's kind of old school, but that true like textbook kind of education style learning. Like, sure, you learn things like SEO, paid, blah, blah, blah. You move as you go, right? You touch different campaigns and stuff. But like that overall degree knowledge, or that like baseline of before you go into an internship or before you go into a job, I don't think I ever got. And I don't think it's really available, the way it is for these majors or these careers that have been around for like a long time thing. I don't know if I got, like, if I had gotten a true digital marketing degree, like if I knew there was this much math, I don't know if I would have taken this road, because math is not my strong suit at all.
Yeah, same here. What about you, Parvathi?
I would say I kind of agree with what everyone was saying. You kind of have this pressure to be an expert on like everything, whether it's like SEO or like building a campaign from scratch, or social media or paid search or whatever it is. But I feel like it really is a learn as you go kind of process. And I also feel like when I was starting out, I felt like there weren't a lot of resources, but there are now. There's a ton of types of like classes, even like General Assembly or things like that. If you want to just have, some of them are paid, some of them are free. If you want to just have a refresher, I actually did that a few weeks ago. I wanted to like have a little bit of a refresher on SEO. So I like, there was a class available and I just did a quick little one. So I wish I knew that a little bit earlier, just the fact that there's so many resources online that you can kind of go and do. And then another one I think is kind of interesting is you don't have to wait for, if you kind of want to do these experiments on your own, you don't have to wait for a job per se. Like if you start a blog or if you start some sort of website, you can start tracking your own kind of like what's going on with your website or what's going on with your own, like, I don't know, you have some sort of social media page, you can
Mm-hmm.
your own tracking. You don't have to wait to start a job to do it. You can just kind of like roll up your sleeves and get into it yourself that way. So I think that's another really helpful way, especially if you don't have that career experience yet. You can just start something on your own where it's like a blog or an Instagram page or something like that. And, you know, look at impressions, look at how to improve it. And like, you can apply those skills to an actual position at a later point.
That's a really good point. It's the
Yeah.
fact that it just gives you like all things digital just give you so many opportunities right now. You can literally, you know, start making money out of your social media channel,
Right.
which wasn't the reality up until very recently.
Yeah.
But speaking of, because you touched upon a very good topic, which is, you know, kind of like the tools and resources. What are your like favorite ones in terms of, you know, kind of like the learning resources?
I would say for me, I love General Assembly. I think it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do amazing classes. And it's like a good mix. They do free classes and they do like, if you want to do paid classes or certifications.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done the certification, but I've heard like really good things about it. So I would say that is a really good resource. And then another one that I use is good old LinkedIn. I have like the LinkedIn Pro version. So they have like LinkedIn Learning. And I
Right.
actually didn't realize that there was like this whole learning aspect to the Pro account. And so I went on there the other day and I was like, oh my God, there's so many courses and there's so many like little workshops and things that you can do to kind of like improve your skills. So that's a really, really good source. So for me, I've just been, I don't want to like spread myself too thin. So I've been kind of focusing on those two learning platforms.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Michael, what about you? Do you have any favorites?
I do actually. I recently renewed the Google Analytics certificate. So there is
Mm-hmm.
everything really accessible in a Google Analytics Academy, I believe it calls like that. So you
Yep.
could go there and you can study. It depends on your already level of knowledge about the Google Analytics. So you could even get a certificate for free, which is a sort of a credential about your knowledge in the Google Analytics. Also, there is a search, paid search ads as well. You could also have a
Mm-hmm.
certificate on that as well on Google. I do find Blueprint certificate interested to me. I haven't passed yet, but I'm studying for it, and you could learn everything about the not social media, but pretty much about the Facebook and Instagram. What else is left there, especially if you're working in a CPG brand or something like that. So for the Blueprint certificate, you could also like study about paid media buying, about paid media planning, about building ads and stuff like that. So there's a lot of information, and most important, all of those information for free. So literally, you don't have to pay anything to get through the whole process. The only thing you have to pay for Blueprint is probably about $100 or $150 if you want to pass the exam. But it's not required, right? You don't have to pass the exam, but you can have all of the knowledge for free, which is great.
Right. So that's great. That's like, if it's accessible like that, that's amazing. And there are a lot of other resources out there. Jen, you want to touch upon your favorite ones?
Absolutely. Definitely, I would agree with GA and Facebook Blueprint because they tend to update their information and their courses with how the platform changes. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
we see so regularly Facebook changes, can't advertise about politics, such and such. We're taking this off, we're taking third party, targeting off and things like that. So they tend to update their courses with their policy changes. So it's an easy way for you to like stay updated on what's going on. I feel like in digital marketing, things change so fast with, we kind of see these changes in like Big Brother laws. So it's an easy way to stay updated on what's going on, as well as LinkedIn, because LinkedIn tends to focus on industry trends. And that's like
Right.
another great place to kind of stay updated with what's going on.
Disclaimer, none of this is actual sponsored content. Because I feel like we have to say that.
Right.
A little bit unrelated, but still, I feel like that's something that everybody's talking about right now. So I've been working remotely myself for like over 2 years by now, and I think Jen, with your own company, that's also kind of like the lifestyle that you have right now. Would you say that like digital should pretty much equal remote at this point?
Yeah, I think so. We just don't see that need kind of to do that traditional face-to-face, what's going on, especially when you're working within a team as well. People are still working very independently. When I started my company, I was still doing in-house for a different company as well. And very similar to the job I had before that. I went into work, nobody talked to me, I didn't talk to anybody. Like, I was the only digital marketer for the entire company. And I was the only one touching any of the paid or organic social. And I had somebody under me doing organic content that I was posting out. So I found that in all of my roles anyways, I've been so independent. And it was kind of like my job was always something nobody knew about. So kind of nobody really bothered. Like, it was like, I was the mad scientist in the corner and nobody talked to me. Like, you converse with your coworkers on a personal level and you bring levity into the office. But in terms of like actual work, I wasn't really engaging with anybody on what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. So it was a very easy transition for me. And I find that that's something, a lot of other digital marketers experience anyways. So whether the job can be remote or not shouldn't really be debatable because that's what we're doing in the office anyways. If I wasn't there every day, I don't really think people would notice, like, outside of my annoying personality, I don't think people would notice, like, in terms of my job.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah, I think digital marketing is the first position, especially even in-house, that's gonna work remote because pretty much all we do is online. We do have to communicate with the people, we do have to participate in a lot of meetings, but I don't think it's that necessary anymore. And if we're gonna rethink like all of these 3 months that happened, nothing really, affect us, affect our work, like except COVID, obviously. Like, we didn't have that meetings, but it didn't really, affect our job. So maybe we had a lot of meetings before that was not useful for us. So maybe we have to rethink our structure and maybe, move forward with the remote work anyway.
What about you, Parvathi?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's definitely a job that can be done remotely. I've done both. I've done like the full in-office experience. Then I've also done remote because I was remote for a bit out of here in Chicago. Still working for New York, and it's totally possible. I feel like just need a good network, good computer, good space. I think that's really important, just setting up like a nice space where you can kind of zone in and work on what you have to do. So yeah, I think it's totally possible. And like you mentioned with the COVID situation, now it's even more so. I think the people that were kind of doubting it before are now kind of like, okay, it is possible. Like, it is possible to work remote. And if anything, I think the work culture is definitely going to change and pivot a little bit after this. I think there's going to be a lot more, remote working or people. I think it's also going to it'll be interesting to see if it'll be more of like a global culture where you can work internationally, like maybe you're over here in the US, but you have a client in Europe. I think those opportunities are going to open up more with time. So that'll be a really interesting space to kind of watch.
Yeah, I feel like it was already kind of, coming to all this globalization, but with the COVID situation, it's definitely going to happen much faster at this point.
For sure.
Yeah. Plus, it's easy to track all of the numbers, actually, by the way. Like, the digital marketing performance is all about the numbers, and all of the information is online. So you could really see, the KPIs and success of that person who's working for you, even not seeing the person like the real people.
Exactly. So it's not just it's not just the accountability of the person anymore. It's just really that you can track the results. So there is no getting around it. So I think based on what everyone has said, because one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, are you planning to stay in digital marketing, or are you planning to switch? I think it sounds like everyone is kind of planning to stay. Parvathi, what about you?
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love it so much. And I'm really happy I kind of like found the space. And for me, it doesn't even feel like work sometimes. It's just like fun. Like I love just going and learning and trying different things. And for me personally, I think I can see like down the lane, I would love to kind of go into academia eventually maybe, and be on the teaching side, maybe be a professor or something like that. Of course, that's down the line after a lot of experience, but if that's the only thing that I can see myself kind of like pivoting into is like staying in digital, but like moving more to like the teaching side.
That's something that I would love to explore as well, because I love teaching overall. So turning that into like a career would be great.
Yeah.
What about you, Jenn?
Yeah, same exact thing, specifically with like the academia point. As I said before, I don't think there's a lot of free courses, and there's a lot of like one-offs on like what SEO is, or maybe if you're going into Criteo or something like that. But in terms of like a full rollout for what digital marketing is, I don't think there is that in the world right now. So it would be great to later transition into academia and kind of like a professor style type course. But yeah, I don't see myself leaving digital marketing anytime soon. It's just such an ever-changing, platform, and while it comes with high stress and things like that, I do think it is very rewarding in what the work is, and it often feels fun, and it feels very creative, and it's like digital marketing is a really good space for, I feel like, people like me who are creative focused, but I can't really do like a full like graphic design or something, like a more artist type field work. So it's like a good space to be kind of both analytical, creative, and all those things.
Right. Michael, any plans of going into academia as well?
I don't think I'm moving anywhere else except digital marketing. No, 100% no. That's a closed topic for me. I'm not at the level to go to the academia and stuff like that. I probably need more knowledge and more experience.
I think we never are, really.
I mean, yeah, if you think from that standpoint, we never are. But I 100% agree that we need some people, with the real experience in the academia level who could explain to new generation how everything works, because it's very fragmented at this point. Like you can learn about this, you can learn about that, but there is no like, one structure, like what is exactly digital marketing. And I feel when I work in digital marketing, everyone assuming that it might be only social media, or it might be only that on this, but it's more general. It's really huge. And like, you can't even imagine how big is that as far, like if you're not working in digital marketing before. So definitely we need some sort of help from the academia level to sort of structure digital marketing and explain everything to new people who wanted to work in digital marketing.
This question has not been planned, but still it's such a hot topic right now. And I would understand if nobody wants to comment because it's a little bit political, but does anybody want to comment on what's going on between Trump, Twitter, and the whole possibility of the legislation for social media?
Yeah, I will. I never have a problem with being.
Thank you.
Don't gotta worry about that. I think it's really interesting. Over the years, we've seen kind of traditional journalism always feel the need to uphold, a certain standard, always feel the need to make sure, facts are being checked and things aren't being lied about, and everything is kind of coming from this really informative space, not necessarily like a space that's like, they don't lean to one side, but just traditionally it's imperative that they stay towards this, fact check, always giving people information, always updating everybody on what's going on. And I think this specifically, what's going on with Trump and Twitter, is really Twitter kind of putting their head down into like, we are a platform of like journalism, and we are a platform of people saying things and being able to access millions and billions of people at once and update them on content. What I'm trying to say is they're coming from a more serious standpoint of like, this is news, and like we are a platform where people kind of
the freedom of speech,
right, to update and things what's going on, and we're allowing people to have the chance to say whatever they want, but we're not going to let them say fake stuff anymore, or things that aren't true, or without going too far into any Trump content, things that are false. So it's Twitter kind of taking a standpoint to say, if we do have this platform that can be journalistic or just, an effort to kind of be a fact-checking platform, we're not going to let people put out false information.
I agree. I even find it ironic of how the legislators have been pushing for the platforms to take more responsibility, for
Right.
the like fake news spreading and all of it. And now that they're actually doing it, they're getting like a backlash for it. I'm like, okay, you gotta choose one. You can't have it both at the same time. Like you can't, have your cake and eat it when it comes to that.
Right.
Alrighty. I feel like we've had a very productive conversation overall. I think a nice cherry on the cake would be the question of any advice you would like to give to the future digital marketers.
I think in general, like I know we've all talked about the lack of, academia side of digital marketing, kind of that base level knowledge. We still, with any industry, like I said, finance or business or whatever it is, we never kind of learn those like job skills. Nobody gets that like within their industry. Even if your college professors make you get up and do presentations and stuff, we never kind of learn that type of skill. But I think one thing I didn't know at the time was that, and I guess kind of a piece of advice, when I had started digital marketing, because of the way it was coming up so quickly and kind of wasn't out there yet until I had come into it, I did think originally it was going to be like this very behind the screens kind of practice, but you don't realize kind of how much of a piece of sales you're in. Like I constantly find myself having to like sell and have these big presentations and, kind of speeches about what this money we'll get with this and such. But again, just like I think it would be really great for digital marketers to have more of like a baseline knowledge of sales, and kind of like those interpersonal skills of being able to talk to people and being able to do presentations and being able to kind of have like a sales-minded or business-minded conversation. I didn't realize I was going to be doing as much of that as I am now.
Right. I see that Parvathi is nodding. Do you agree? And what advice would you want to give yourself?
Totally. I agree with that. I also think that another thing is to like not wait for the learning opportunities. Like if you have an area that you really, really want to learn and the company has the capacity for it, you can always ask for like a stretch project or like a shadowing project where you can at least see how it's done. I think that's something that's really useful. And I wish that's something that I kind of applied with my own career in the beginning. I was a little like, oh, should I ask? Should I not ask? So I think definitely go for it. I feel like people would just be excited to like give you the opportunity to learn. And then another thing I would say is to look for a mentor. It doesn't necessarily have to be, your leader or someone on your team or even someone at your company, but just in general, just look for some sort of mentor who's maybe in the industry, maybe a couple years ahead. Just so you can kind of have those conversations and you can kind of have this person that you can always like, share ideas with, or, if you want to ask for advice, like you can ask for advice. I think that's something that's super, super helpful. And then down the road, like you can be a mentor for someone else and you can kind of pay it back. So I think that would be my advice.
Yeah, I completely agree regarding the mentorship because I was personally fortunate enough to have like two great mentors along the way that did not necessarily have to do with digital marketing, but more with just like general business and people skills. I see that I can see if Michael is nodding. Michael, are you
I
nodding?
do. I do, yeah, 100%. I agree. It's hard to find sometimes a good mentor, obviously, because not a lot of people probably who give you suggestions. The suggestions are very useful. Sometimes it's
Right.
not. You have to be very careful with that as well. Who do you listen to? But yeah, it's super helpful when you do something in a business, in a market especially, to have some knowledge and experience of people behind you who could suggest you something. I would say from my side point, it just don't be scared for new people who go to the digital marketing, because a lot of knowledge, especially for me, it comes with the practice. As far as you start practicing, as far as you start doing your own things, as far as you launching your campaigns, you learn a lot. And there's no way you can learn that information any other way around. You can learn a lot of, theory. You can learn a lot of subjects, a lot of stuff about digital marketing in all of those free courses all over the internet. But in the end of the day, if you're not practice, you don't know how to do those things, how to implement all of this knowledge that you have. So just try to, yeah, as we already talked about, just try to do some social media maybe, or some blog post or anything you can find useful for yourself, just to begin working digital marketing. And as far as you begin, you can realize what the career path you have to take to be successful.
Right. That was, I mean, that's, if I were to give advice, I would have probably said, don't be shy in all aspects of it. Just like, don't be shy, try new things, don't be shy, to learn something new. It's just like, because if you don't keep moving forward, you're going to get outdated real fast
Yeah.
in digital marketing. This has been an amazing experience talking with all of you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I'm so happy to see everyone because I know it's been a while.
Yeah, it's amazing that you put this together. It's always good for digital marketers to kind of keep just like an industry focused conversation amongst each other. Because there's, especially, no shade towards Michael, but there's not many women, within digital marketing. We're very underrepresented. So it's great that we were able to have this conversation with one another.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Have a good weekend.